dancing like they up in disco. You niggas in fist bump, you stay up and dip low. You niggas stay up and get low. Heard you way up in Frisco, and you say what the heck so. Every player gets nipped now, acting gay up in Cisco. Might take the day off and play up at Mistos, causing chaos and play up Calypso. I pause in kitchens and caused addictions. I pause prescriptions and cause inflictions. Lil Bixby playing in stores and bricks and on the dark web. You gotta pause every doors, cause encryptions. Tesla engines, pause the pistons. I seen every floor I leave sore and listing. For that action they sponsored the Bronson. They was hooked on that shit like Johnson and Johnson. That freeway Ricky Ross, straight out of Compton, straight out of Bompton. Red on blue violence in the land. The projection of the will, the perfection of the kill, the reflection of the pills. I'm a frontline soldier, I'm no doja. These crystals not from focus and crypto. Diamonds is dancing like they up in disco. You niggas in fist bump, you stay up and dip low. You niggas stay up and get low. Heard you way up in Frisco, and you say what the heck so. Every player gets nipped now, acting gay up in Cisco. Might take the day off and play up at Pistols, causing chaos and play up Calypso. Hickory dickory down, hit a lick, put the sticky in the box. When the blicky get hot, lick off a shot. Heavy in the meadow, we slip off a knot. Heavy in the ghetto, they crib walk a lot. Crib walk the crypto, lift off the stocks. Drips off the crystal and pots. Disco rods in the blocks on my chain from the crystal shop. In the light air, lift off the rock. Toe Virgil right chain on my block. White paint on my socks. White paint on my socks. Hickory dickory dock. Hit the lick, put the sticky in the box. When the blicky get hot, lick off a shot, we lick off a shot. Players in crypto, diamonds is dancing like they up in disco. You niggas in fist bump, you stay up and dip low. You niggas stay up and get low. Heard you way up in Frisco, and you say what the heck so. Every player gets nipped now, acting gay up in Cisco. Might take the day off and play up at Pistols, causing chaos and play up Calypso.
So yes, peace to the family. We'll get into some of this Om. So meditative energy. This reduces oxidative stress, and it helps us become more receptive to this information. Slow down your heart rate. And this is a KTL 1111 classic. Yes. Split close libation. Ready to go in. I'm gonna put it to a light buzz. So there'll be a underlaying presence of this meditative, powerful mantra as we delve into today's episode. You know what I'm saying? And what a powerful mantra to have, backing us up. All right. Again, I'm gonna light this sage in accordance with the etymology of what the word quote unquote God means. It means libation, it means lighting up incense, and it also means invocations. Right? Go take it up with your mama and your nana them, right? Or whoever wrote these etymological dictionaries. It's a German root. The word God is a German root. So you already you're already compromised in regard to your Tower of Babel. That's not the name that you refer to your deity in, unless you German. Shout out to the Holy Roman Empire, because I know it's the Moors out there. It's like, nigga, we settled Germany and the Coburg Moors, and yeah, I know about all of it. Trust me. I just need that more ancient tongue, right? When we was clicking, goddamn it, what how do we refer to God when we was clicking? That's what I want to know. Yeah. Shout out to all the niggas that got here by way of the Anunnakis. We got something for you too. Got something for you too. Because they borrowed your knowledge and they running with it. You know what I'm saying? This is your cloth talk. You Sumerians, Assyrians, Babylonians. I'm going to qualify all of it, man. Everybody got a space at the table. Oh, hey, you don't like the flapping wings? Somebody said they don't like the flapping wings. And that request is enough to get rid of the flapping wings, y'all. We ain't gonna make this difficult. You know what I'm saying? We ain't gonna make this difficult. I don't want to be right. I want to be of service. And if that's bothering you, then we're getting rid of it. Simple as that. All right. Matter of fact, yeah, let's go to the matrix. We're in the matrix. So, and again, to the IG family, I'm broadcasting simultaneously on YouTube in front of our YouTube family. So please bear with me while I qualify both. I'm gonna pour these libations. God, you just getting some spring water today? Shit, glad it ain't purified water. We only had purified water at the lecture on Tuesday, so I had to pour some purified water. And then I'm gonna ask permission from the eldest person in the room to continue. Y'all could drop it in the chat. Be like, go on, nigga. Whoever the elder in the building is, I'm 49. If you are more elder than that, I gotta ask for your permission to continue. You know what I'm saying? Just give me the permission and let me go, please. Somebody bring your nana to the phone. Be like, go, Blue, go. Yeah, we got to pour for the homies. Okay, please. Thank you. Precious mother love. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I got the permission that I needed from the elder in the room. Okay. And guys, if you are new to the program, this is Mineral Ministries, right? Mineral Ministry, Lion Gates Ministries. I have to always be inclusive of Lion Gates Ministry. That's how I got my start. Shout out to my good brother, the General Angel. Mineral Ministries, Lion Gates Ministries presents. This is Sunday service. I am your host, Pope Pablo. We are non-denominational, mostly conversational, sometimes confrontational. This is our honest question, inquiry, to, you know, make sense of the word, you know, to look for meaning where we have been unable in other endeavors to find meaning for whatever reason. You know what I'm saying? Some of us were kicked out of Sunday school. Some of us was told that we don't have a right to ask these questions, but we also were told that our soul is predicated on us knowing this information for us to make the proper transition. And in this Scorpio season, it's all about transition. It's all about transformation. It's all about transmutation. So we need to know, and so we need to ask these questions. And as your servant, as your servant in arms, Pablo, I'll be asking them questions on our behalf, right? So today is the 1026 calendar date in the Gregorian calendar. So we're going to go into chapter 10, verse 26, wherever we encounter it. In some places, we reduce the 26 to 8, the 2 and the 6, because this is October. So the operative, that oct, that prefix, that means 8 as well. So we give ourselves a lot of permission when it comes to the number 8. You know what I'm saying? So we'll start in Genesis, right? We'll kick this thing off. We'll kick this thing off right in Genesis. And Genesis goes to 26. So we got a 1026 in Genesis. And they are counting the children of Shem. And this is important, right? Because there's a whole controversy on this planet right now about the descendants that they call the Semites. And it's Semitic as a language, it's not a people. So just the flubbing of a letter changes the entire description of a word. And the people who are definitely not Shemites are out here still fronting like they're Semites. And that's not even a people, that's just a linguistic term. Nonetheless, though, the descendants of the Shemites are very important to this narrative. Okay. And we'll take a look into it. Right. The sons were also born to Shem, the older brother of Japheth. Shem was the forefather of all the sons of Eber. The sons of Shem were Elam, Ashur, Arphaxad, Lud, and Aram. The sons of Aram were Uz, Hul, Gether, and Mash. Right? Two sons were born to Eber. One was named Peleg because in his days the earth was divided. Right? So Peleg in Hebrew means divided. Right? And his brother was named Joktan. And Joktan was the father of Almadad, Shelef, Hazarmaveth, Jerah, Hadaram, Uzal, Diklah, pause. So, you know, we ain't never heard of these folk, but this is who they are accounted for. Let's move and go into Exodus 10:26, right? 10:26. And if you're a descendant of Ham, these are the brothers or the descendants or the bloodlines that they said that you're going to be in servitude to. These folk, right? So Exodus 10:26 is the 9th plague, which is darkness. Okay, the 9th plague, which is darkness. Moses replied, "You must also provide us with the sacrifices and burnt offerings to present to the Lord our God. Even our livestock must go with us. Not a hoof will be left behind, for we will need some of them to worship the Lord our God, and we will not know how we are to worship the Lord until we arrive." But the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart, and he was unwilling to let them go. So let's look at that. They said, but the Lord hardened Pharaoh's heart. So this is what I be talking about, like with God being a gaslighter. right? How do you bring your people, drop them off in Kemet, then get jealous of Kemet because they got their own gods, but they're these people who set up their quote unquote, they set up their intercessors, which is their gods. Majority of people who build gods is for agricultural purposes because they had to eat, and they created or crafted a deity that they had to give offerings to in order for that food to hit, in order for them crops, in order for that harvest to come. This is how people built themselves gods around their, you know, their civilization, right? God is tethered to somebody's root chakra. The root chakra is tethered to the land, and the land is tethered to food. This is why Asar was a green god. He was a vegetation god. He was a moon god because, right, it's indicative of you to know moon cycles if you're growing food. Now, we go to the grocery store, and a lot of us don't have farming background, so we don't understand almanacs, we don't understand moon cycles, we don't understand why Africans or indigenous people were quote unquote masters of mapping the stars, because nigga, you had to know planetary cycles based on when to put seeds in the ground, because you could not produce, your lady wouldn't give you none, nigga, if you was not providing. And the way that you provided provisions by harvesting food, right? So how can God send his people to Kemet, depend on his people to feed, depend on the commissions? So who are these people? Who are commissions? If God is omnipotent, omnipresent, and omnipotent, and you're the God of everyone and everything, you have children on the planet that you're not claiming. See, this is a problem when it comes to God being a bastard father, okay? And never taking claimant of his children and letting his children run amok. No wonder the black man can't keep the white man under control as one of his creations that have run amok, because he's disowned his child, right? And it's the same way that God would send his only begotten son into the world and give him no superpowers, and the nigga gets washed up by some regular ass Romans and deceived by people. But he's supposed to know everything, but he walked into his own trap. So how does God harden the heart of Pharaoh? And Pharaoh wanted to do the right thing. This is called entrapment. So you harden Pharaoh's heart. It's almost like with Trump, like with Maduro sending him letters saying, I don't want no smoke. You could get mineral rights. Nigga, I'll give you some of this land, right? I'll hand over the drug dealers. And he's like, nah, I feel like you being aggressive towards me, and I'm gonna run down and storm your whole country and take over your lithium deposits. It's the same shit. What did God want from the commission so much that he entrapped Pharaoh to put him in a situation where he had to go nuclear on him and split the Red Sea and then wash him up? He obviously had something that God wanted that he couldn't get his hands on. That was gaslighting and entrapment, because Pharaoh wanted to do the right thing and God hardened his heart and was like, nah, nigga, don't try to be righteous now. You know what I'm saying? So he did not allow him to redeem himself. He did not allow him to make good on his promise of letting his people go. He entrapped him. And as a result, Kemet is being castigated to this day, right? And I study Kemet, but I got my spiritual soul reading. I'm not a I'm a defender of Kemet, but I'm not commissioned. But I still see the fact that they got railroaded historically, and people spit in the face of Kemet to this day, and everyone has borrowed from it. So to me, it's just whack. It's just whack that they do them like that. It's just whack that everybody that Kemet has become the footstool for everyone that has been indoctrinated by the Abrahamic religions, because in order for any of you guys to be good, Kemet has to be bad. And to me, that shit is whack, because we're still marveled today by Kemet and its literal treasures. And we're not marveled by none of the Abrahamic stuff because we can't find any of it, my nigga. There's no evidence of it, and there's nothing to marvel about. No disrespect. Nothing of import that we should be marveling about other than confusion. The more we find in antiquity from these particular demonstrations or these organizations or these religions, the more confused we are because none of the stories stack up. Right. So let's do a cross reference before we move on. Exodus 3:18. The elders of Israel will listen to what you say, and you must go with them to the king of Egypt and tell him, the Lord, the God of the Hebrews, has met with us. Now, please let us take a 3-day journey into the wilderness so that we may sacrifice to the Lord our God. So they wanted to take food out of Kemet, take it into the desert, and sacrifice it to their God. Now, the Commissions were looking at them like pagans. Like, nigga, how you come here to eat our food, right? We fed y'all people. You didn't slave for us, nigga, because the pyramids was already built. All of these monuments came thousands of years before y'all, because y'all is latecomers. So all of my shit was already built. You didn't come here and build that shit. It was already standing, nigga. You would try to write yourself into the story. Like, I got trolls, right? And my trolls will show up for me to step on them just so they could be part of my narrative, ongoing wise, to be like, yo, Blue stepped on me, he's a bad guy. It's the same shit. Like, you would position yourself to be underneath somebody's foot like a piece of gum just to go where they're going at the bottom of their foot. That's some whack shit. That's kind of whack. You know? Numbers 10:26. From Sinai to Paran. Finally, the divisions of the camp of Dan set out under their standard, serving as the rear guard for all units, while Ahazir, son of Amasadai, in command, with Ahazir, son of Amasadai in command. Pagiel, son of Akron, was over the division of the tribe of Asher, and Ahira, son of Enon, was over the division of the tribe of Naphtali. Shout out to the Naphtalis. Okay. So it's like the more that we read this as well, like the more they sound Roman. They got standards, they got legions. You know, Rome has a lot to do with these narratives. Once again, wherever you find yourself, because Rome was so crafty that they got to name an entire continent after them, right? Rome was tethered to the story of Carthage. Rome was tasseling with Put. So Rome has a lot of history with the continent of El-Kibulon when it was named El-Kibulon. And then it was misnomered and named Africanus, or Africa after Africanus, or so they say, right? But a lot of these narratives sound very Roman, like they've adopted a lot of the Romanistic ways and traditions and what have you. And Romans even get to ride off in the sunlight as being the people who bodied the prophet, but nobody says the bloodline of Pontius Pilate is a damn bloodline. Like, who is his bloodline? Like, you come from the bloodline of the emperor who put a whole motherfucking spear in the side of Christ and crucified him. Shouldn't y'all be damned or something? Like, they probably part of the Illuminati today. They probably the Orsinis or some crazy shit like that. Exodus 13. What, shouldn't they be in apostasy? Shouldn't the church that's in Rome be like, yo, whoever's bloodline this is, y'all niggas is just dead wrong. Like, don't fuck with them. Don't procreate with these people. You know what I'm saying? They're heretics. We got to do away with them. They killed the Christ. It's like, nah, they probably celebrated. They probably done sent a family member to theirs to the Pope, or shit. It probably was pontiffs at some point. Exodus 13:21. And the Lord went before them in a pillar of cloud to guide their way by day, and in a pillar of fire to give them light by night, so that they can travel by day or night. Neither the pillar of cloud by day nor the pillar of fire by night left its place before the people. right? And that was a cross reference, and we're going to do another cross reference, right? Exodus 40:36. And I know, and I just want you to understand the way that God simplifies himself. And he is not an apparition, but he is seen through what's considered to be a cloud, right? A cloud, a regular cloud, and fire. Something so minute on this planet that God, the God of the universe, where aliens come from interdimensionally, intergalactically, can condense himself and his power into a cloud to be seen by humans and not collapse the universe on itself. But he's also omnipresent and omnipotent everywhere simultaneously at the same damn time. But he's also a cloud of fire. Whenever the cloud was lifted from above the tabernacle, the Israelites were set out through all the stages of their journey. If the cloud was not lifted, if the cloud was not lifted, they would not set out until the day it was taken up. For the cloud of the Lord was over the tabernacle by day, and fire was in the cloud by night, in the sight of all of the house of Israel through all of their journeys. So I have a saying, yeah, iCloud, right? That, the initiated, you can see the sun at midnight. And that's a euphemism, it's a parable, That's for us to see the fire in the sky. That's for us to see the crafts in the sky. That's for us to see the lights in the sky, right? But that's also a euphemism for the red star Kachina, for the blue star Kachina, right? How do you tell what metrics of observation have you been given from the church to tell whether the ancestors are coming, whether the Michael and the legions are coming, right? Would it be picked up on a satellite? Would they move faster than 3-eye atlas, right? Would it be a one-day thing? Would it happen in the blink of an eye? Would they move faster than craft, or will they actually be on craft? How does one tell, what metrics of measurement does one have to gauge what the return of Christ looks like, right? It has to be preceded by these particular legions of angels or crafts of light. So how do you tell? What's the metrics? Is it overnight? Does it take a few days? Are they traveling faster than craft? How would you know, right? What way do we have to tell and to gauge in real time what we're looking at and what we're looking for? So now we're in Leviticus. And again, if scripture doesn't provide us with a 10:26 reading, then we condense the 26 and we go into 8. So this is 10:8, right? We'll reread it. And this is the month of October. So the prefix of October is OCT. Oct means 8. So we're gonna qualify it. This is the last week of October. We're going into the 44th week, right? Next week. This is the 44th calendar year, right? So in the 44th calendar year, we'll be seeing 3-eye atlas on October 29th at 11:44 universal time. Now, how can you plan that? So in the 44th week, this craft is going to show up at 11:44, right? Very interesting. Restrictions for priests. This is for the priesthood, right? And I should have named this presentation "And the Hennessy Don't Help." And the Hennessy don't help. So if you are a priest, if you're part of the priesthood, if you're spiritually inclined, if you're a watcher, you should be fine-tuned during this particular time because you don't know what's about to happen. The world will not be the same next Sunday than it is from this Sunday, guaranteed, right? The watchers are watching. If you are spiritually inclined as a watchman, you should not be inebriated. This is the time to be sober as fuck, right? To be coherent about what the hell is going on, because people are going to be looking to you for leadership. People are going to be looking to you for guidance. You know what I'm saying? So you have to remain clear minded. So this is instructions for the priesthood. Then the Lord said to Aaron, right? So Aaron, the brother of Moses, is what? He is head priest is the high priest of the Levitical priesthood. Okay. The Lord said to Aaron, you and your sons are not to drink wine or strong drink when you enter the tent of meetings, or else you will die. This is a permanent statute for the generations to come. So yeah, they might serve wine at the congregation, nigga, but you don't supposed to be getting drunk off of it. Okay. If you are a member of the priesthood, however you decipher that, because there's plenty of priesthoods. You feel me? Yeah, that leave to the drunken monk what is to the drunken monk. You're not supposed to be getting slithered, specifically and especially during this time. Okay? Ezekiel 44:21. No priest may drink wine before he enters the inner court, right? No priest should enter wine before he enters the inner court. Let me take a sip of some of this wine. God damn it. Isaiah 28:7. These also stagger from wine and stumble from strong drink. Priests and prophets reel from strong drink and are befuddled by wine. They stumble because of strong drink, muddled in their vision and stumbling in their judgments. Muddled in their visions, they're drunk monks. Muddled in their visions and stumbling in their judgment, right? We know plenty of brothers outside of the quote unquote, the wine store holding up the building that are geniuses. They could tap into. You can walk by them and they'll read you like a book. They'll give you a download. They'll tell you some shit about your life. You know what I'm saying? But they're hung up on hard times because as prophets that are displaced in this particular society, they have not been initiated. They have not been brought into a priesthood. They are not valued for their gifts, right? They're prophets out of time. And prophets don't have goddamn pension plans. So it's very unbecoming of us when we package and present ourselves as spiritual or religious people, but we don't have offices, we don't have stations and platforms for our people that are coming with these gifts that are being born out of time, right? Yeah, y'all get them likes up in the chat, family, for the YouTube family. Get them likes up, right? So they can boost this in the algorithm. So they can boost it in the algorithm. Deuteronomy 10:8, the new tablets of stone. From there, they traveled to Judgodah, and from Judgodah to Jotbatha, a land with streams of water. At that time, the Lord set apart the tribe of Levi to carry the ark of the covenant of the Lord, to stand before the Lord, to serve him, and to pronounce blessings in his name as they do to this day. Okay? This is why Levi has no portion or inheritance amongst his brothers. The Lord is his inheritance, as the Lord your God promised him. This is why Levi has no portion or inheritance amongst his brother. The Lord is his inheritance, as the Lord your God promised him. Right? So for the Levitical class, for the priesthood, for those who have been born into this in terms of service, right? Your blessings. And they take this and they stretch this amongst the entire populace of the covenant, and that's not what it means. If you are part of the priesthood, then they're saying that your gift is that pie in the sky, your love and devotion, right? People should look to you as an example of what it is to be quote unquote Christ-like, right? Some of the audio is better. What, the audio is not good over here on YouTube? Please, YouTube family, give me some feedback. I paused the Omni Pad Me Ohms because I don't know what's going on. Y'all saying, let me know what's going on with the audio. Okay, they said audio is fine. I'm gonna do a cross reference. Numbers 3:6. Bring the tribe of Levi and present them to Aaron the priest to assist him. They are to perform duties for him and for the whole congregation before the tent of meetings, attending to the service of the tabernacle. They shall take care of all of the furnishings of the tent of meetings and fulfill obligations for the Israelites by attending to the service of the tabernacle. You know what I'm saying? So this is the priesthood. This is the priesthood. This is the duty of the priesthood to serve the high priest. So the high priest can be in best service to the people, right? Because it's necessary and needed, because there's only certain effects that can be dealt with and handled by the priesthood dealing with the inner sanctum where the Ark of the Covenant is held in the tabernacle. Okay. So Joshua 10:26, the victory at Makkedah. Do not be afraid or discouraged, Joshua said. Be strong and courageous, for the Lord will do this to all of the enemies you fight. After this, Joshua struck down and killed the kings, and he hung their bodies on 5 trees and left them there until evening. At sunset, Joshua ordered that they be taken down from the trees and thrown into the cave in which they had hidden. Then large stones were placed against the mouth of the cave, and the stones are there to this day. I should have named this to this day. There's a lot of to this days in here. We'll do a cross reference, and I'll give some commentary. Deuteronomy 21:22. If a man has committed a sin worthy of death, and he is executed, and you hang his body on a tree, crucify, you must not leave the body on the tree overnight, but you must be sure to bury him that day, because anyone who is hung on a tree is under God's curse. You must not defile the land that the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance. So now let's speak about the Ku Klux Klan as an esoteric occult Christian organization, right? Who were performing esoteric rites and rituals by hanging bodies from trees and leaving them there for protracted periods of time. And that was to curse the vessel. And evidence of it was the fact that they would cut off parts of the vessel and they would keep those in Mason-Dixon jars to do their version of what I call white black magic. Are you confused? Did you not hear what was said? Hence the fact that, again, there are different interpretations of the crucifixion of quote unquote Christ, and many interpretations before the Council of Nicaea and more ancient script says that he was hung on a tree. Hung on a tree. Right? Right? They took the body down and they put it in the cave, just like they spoke of in here. Whatever happened to the first commandment? Right? One would deduce that the first commandment was for an entirely different people. Just like Eve didn't follow the first commandment, neither did her children, which was Cain. But Cain was not the seed because, again, she had fraternal twins, not identical. Cain and Abel were fraternal. One seed, they say, was seeded by the serpent, right? They're getting real scorpionic with you. They say that he ran up in her and he seeded her. And then Adam seeded the other's child, and that was Abel. And the Cain became the Cain Abel, or the cannibal, and he devours his brother. And he starts the first craft hood, which is the craft of the murderers or the drillers or the spinners. They operate by an entirely different metric than the goody two-shoe niggas, right? So later on in this, where you see that the whole Old Testament was murderers, whose bloodline won out? Which one of the twins got to live? They were fraternal. This was the first fraternity, right? That's why the people who are part of fraternal secret societies, they might appear to you to have the cloth on, but nigga, they will drill you into the earth if they need to and not think nothing of it, right? And devour you. And yeah, so the Cain Abel, there is a physical devouring of bodies, which is like, that is the most extreme parts of murder. You unalive them and then you eat them. And then there is a allegorical way that when you unalive them, you're also eating their souls, right? You become a serial killer and the serial killer nigga eats bodies for breakfast. Do you get it? Do I need to put this shit in a rhyme or a poem for it to make more sense? Huh? Your president came out as a spinner and a driller on the first day of Scorpio and said, nigga, we'll just kill them. We'll just kill them. Right? Scorpionic as fuck. We're just gonna kill them. We don't need a declaration of war in the beginning of Scorpio first day, nigga. We're just unaliving shit. I thought the nigga Blue Pill already told you what these 44s was about. Nobody listens. Nobody listens. Okay. So if you're a Puritan out there and you're going about the peace, love, and light way of things, you know what I'm saying? You're part of the wrong timeline. And I'm not saying that victory is not promised to you. I'm just saying that you're playing a whole different game the way that they're playing it. Their fraternal obligations is to drillers, killers, and drug dealers, my nigga. Okay? You're playing a totally different game. You're reading the back of the book, not the front of it. I'll read that again. Deuteronomy 21. This, and we in Deuteronomy. Nigga, they just gave the command, they just gave them the commandments, right? They just gave them the commandments. And the first one is thou shalt not kill. So who do you decide who gets the waiver on the first commandment, right? Who gets the waiver? Is it a badge? Is it a sign, a seal, or a sigil for you to get waived from the very first commandment, right? Because once you start, you don't stop. And the niggas is going to war for countries that they said it's a separation of church and state. So how can a country at the age of 18 put a rifle in your hand and tell you to go and drill? But then they tell you it's not for God. But then they say drill them all and let God sort them out. Yeah, Scorpion time. If a man has committed a sin worthy of death, right? Whose job is it to judge whether the sin is death worthy? Should your judgment not be in the afterlife or when you get weighed, right? How can man judge? He who is not sinful cast the first stone, i.e., that shit happened in the New Testament. So we all the way here in the Old Testament, they was just drilling shit, right? If a man has committed a sin worthy of death and he is executed and you hang his body on a tree, you must not leave the body on the tree overnight, but you must be sure to bury him that day, because anyone who was hung on a tree is under God's curse. You must not defile the land that the Lord your God is giving you as an inheritance. So look at this, right? Look at this. The Ku Klux Klan, as a Christian esoteric occult organization led by a man named Albert Pike, who was the 33rd degree Mason, the head Grandmaster of the Blue Lodge or the Scottish Rite, right? They would specifically hang melanated people who were successful businessmen, right? Who figured out how to break away and get their own business popping. They would massacre, sacrifice, and execute them and leave their bodies hanging on trees. To do what? To defile the land. Yes, strange fruit, to defile the land, not just to strike terror in the hearts of people who might pick up the mantra or the mantle and do the business after them. They were doing that to desecrate the land. So the land would not be abundant and plentiful anymore. Okay? Mississippi, Louisiana, right? And other parts in the South where the land was rich and they were hating the fact that our people had access to this land that a lot of them indigenously had in their land, and then the rest of them figured out ways to get their hands on some land. But then when they started turning that land into gold, here comes the hate, right? Desecrate the people, desecrate the land, because the land and the man is synonymous. So we would have to go around this beloved country of ours and unhex the land. There are ceremonial rituals that need to be done to lift the curse off of the land. The land is not just barren because it's minerally depleted. The land is also cursed in certain places because of the blood that has been spilled in it, and that blood has not been transmuted. It's definitely not been martyred. Yes, the Dust Bowl, right? The Dust Bowl rituals, yes. Facts. Then the Dust Bowls happens after they ritualize the land, right? Do you guys know about the Dust Bowl rituals and things of that nature in the South when they make these lands barren? Feel me? We have to consecrate and bring life back to the lands by breaking the spell, the hex on the particular land, by freeing up the disemboweled spirits that occupy those lands that have not been avenged, nor properly have they been ceremoniously buried. Yes, and they intentionally spray glyphosate on the land, and they create something called phthalates, which are hormone disruptors. That's what these chemicals are creating, right? And that's your forever chemicals, destroying the land and destroying the water. Okay? Yeah, those souls are definitely still around. Definitely still around. Topsoil depletion, right? Topsoil depletion, but middle layer cursing on top of the topsoil depletion, which is mineral depletion, right? But that blood, which is iron, is what? Iron magnetizes certain minerals to it. This particular blood is depleting and it's repelling certain minerals from it because it is cursed blood. Judges 10:8, Philistines and Ammonite oppression. Right? Philistines and Ammonite oppression. More melanated people in the Bible who our people up throwing casting stones at and don't even know that they're casting stones at themselves because they don't know who the players are. Okay. So the anger of the Lord burnt against Israel, and he sold them into the hands. Listen, this is God, allegedly. So the anger of the Lord burnt against Israel, and he sold them into the hands of the Philistines and the Ammonites, who that year harassed and oppressed the Israelites and did so for 18 years to all of the Israelites on the other side of the Jordan in Gilead, the land of the Amorites. The Amorites also crossed the Jordan to fight against Judah, Benjamin, and the house of Ephraim, and Israel was in deep distress. Right? So who's zooming who? That God has a very weird relationship with his own children. That you side with their ops, and then you come back to the children and you make the children supernatural so they can now spank the ops. Right? It's like what the US does with Al Qaeda and ISIS. How are you negotiating with terrorists, God? How are you over here playing two sides, God? How you double dipping? How you gaslighting to that degree? Judges 2:14. Then the anger of the Lord burnt against Israel, and he delivered them into the hands of those who plundered them. He sold them into the hands of their enemies all around, whom they were no longer able to resist. So even if it works for melanated people, because melanated people always need their ego massaged, right? And they need to feel a certain way, then it can be said, look, my nigga, your misfortunes are not permanent. Your God sold you into slavery for your creation, which you were not managing, but it's been promised that one day you will rise to prominence. overcome your oppressors, and get back into the good graces of your God. Tell yourself that that's what's about to happen when 3i Atlas comes here, right? That they're going to unhoist the shackles off of you, my nigga, and put you back in a redeemed position where you now can be the stewards and the particular lords of the house once again. How would you run it differently, right? And what level of homage will you be willing to pay to your God? Well, he won't fail like you niggas is, hoes and prostitutes, because that's what they say in the book about you. That's what they say in the book about you. Wonder why they call you bitch. This is what they say in the book about you. Saul proclaimed king. 1 Samuel 10:26. Then Samuel explained to the people the rights of kinship. He wrote them on a scroll and laid it up before the Lord. Laid it up. And Samuel sent all of the people away each to his own home. Saul also went to his home in Gibeah, and the men of valor whose hearts God had touched went with him. But some worthless men said, "How can this man save us?" So they despised him and brought him no gifts. But Saul remained silent about it. They was hating. They was hating, right? They was hating. Yeah. So when they snap in half, right? God is going to get a lot more phone calls, right? God is going to get a lot more phone calls. People are going to be a lot more humble, and they're going to be calling on God in a way in which they've never done before, right? The white man's God, which is Trump, is doing exactly what the version of their God would look like. And they don't have no passion and compassion with no broke white folk. That's not who they're here proselytizing for, right? They're fascists, my nigga. You don't get it? They don't have no compassion, even for those amongst their own that they see as weak. They don't got no compassion for that. They'll build a goddamn android, a nigga that's half robot before they cater to a white man who is squandering his fucking privilege. All right. And then their alternative reality, their privilege to them is their skin, which is devoid of the covenant. And your alternative reality, your blessing is your skin that you cannot turn into a blessing. Nobody's having pity or mercy on you for that, my nigga. Matter of fact, God might specifically be on your helmet for that very exact reason, that you have not figured out how to turn melanin into magic yet. There's nothing that the universe can come and do for you, because you're going to be approached by people who are beyond melanated, right? They're fucking luminescent. Their quantum mechanics of their spacesuits is on another level. And they even admonish like the angels was jealous of you, nigga. It's the same thing with the aliens. They're like, nigga, do you know who you are? Do you know what gifts you have? You know what access to gifts that you have? Right? We don't got no mercy for you. You a fucking poo butt. You know what I'm saying? You better figure it out. Or they're gonna shadow on you like Trump did with the AI generated plane when he was shatting on the No Kings protesters. Feel me? We'll do a cross reference before we move on. This is 1 Samuel 11:4. When the messengers came to Gibeah of Saul and relayed these words in the hearing of the people, they all wept aloud. Just then Saul was returning from the field behind his oxen. "What troubles the people?" asked Saul. "Why are they weeping?" And they relayed to him the words of the men of Jabesh. When Saul heard their words, the Spirit of God rushed upon him, and he burnt with great anger. Right? It was hating on him. So remember, so Paul shows up in the Old Testament and the New Testament. Saul is Paul. It's just the Greek version of him. The word Paul in Greek is Saul, right? And in Hebrew is Paul, or vice versa. Nonetheless, nigga, Saul is Paul. So you got two different versions of this particular character showing up, being a determinant for the people, because when Saul is removed as king, then comes David, then the story begins. When the story ends with Jesus and then James is in charge, here comes Paul. He moves James aside, and now you're born as Christians, because that was Saul's play, right? Not Jesus's or James. They was just Jews running around talking to Jews. Paul comes and he expands the quote unquote proselytization of the information to all people, Gentiles, and it brings it under the auspices of Roman hegemony or empire. And then Constantine gets it. And then now here we are. Now here we are with a consecrated religion that specifically was put together by empire to conquer, in the name of the Prince of Peace, right? But they're doing it as warmongers. So if you want the purity of the message of what quote unquote Christ represented, then you have to go into the Gnostic scripts. You have to go into everything that he presented before Paul put together the game that he put together, that he still got niggas running off of. They call it Pauline Christianity for a reason. He created it, not Jesus. Christianity is about Jesus. Christianity is not from Jesus. You understand? I'm dead ass. Like, that's just the only way to look at it, because that's the only way that it is. Yeah. And then you got the Antichrist. You got all of the false ones now. They're on the scene. They're putting in that work. And let me say something. I ain't getting no donation last week. And that was foul as fuck. Because I gave y'all 3 hours of this shit. And I told you it's, and I ain't got to buy new shoes for the baby. We ain't got to go into that. It's just something that should be done out of service, right? Hook a nigga up. Look.
Plate. Thank the Lord we made some racks today. Skim the cream off the top and whatnot. And then we stashed the cake, laughed the banks. The priesthood, we eat good as we should.
The priesthood, we eat good as we should. 44 seconds, we got that done. 44 seconds. The priesthood, we eat good as we should. I'll give you the cash app, right? And why the priests are of the service of the people. The priests don't got no other way to eat. You know what I'm saying? The priest should just be made to do this. That's what the priest should be made to do. Just lock the priest in and be like, y'all just do this shit all day, right? That's what the priesthood, especially during times like this, nigga. We are in Scorpio. The priest should not even be able to see the daylight, nigga. It's so much work that needs to be done, right? To get the offerings made. The veil is the thinnest. The veil is the thinnest, right? 3 Atlas is coming. The Blue Star Kachina's here. The priest shouldn't be getting no motherfucking rest. You know what I'm saying? Just keep the priest in the basement making offerings. Making offerings. Yeah, Paul came, they said. So, you know, show niggas some love, man. I gotta make sense of it all. It'll be 3 hours. And it's giving you the real. David's messenger's disgrace. This is now we in 2 Samuels 16:8, because they don't got a 26, so 16:8. On hearing this, David sent Joab and the entire army of mighty men. The Ammonites marched out and arrayed themselves for battle at the entrance of the city gate, while the Arameans at Zobah and Rehob, and the men of Tob and Makkah were by themselves in the open country, right? 2 Samuel 8:5. And you know, they was putting in work. They was a warlike people, and they was putting in work. You know what I'm saying? The Ammonites marched out and arrayed themselves for battle at the entrance to the city. Okay, when the Arameans of Damascus, there goes that Paul reference again. When the Arameans of Damascus came to help King Hadadezer of Zobah, David struck down 22,000 of their men. Then he placed garrisons in Aram of Damascus, and the Arameans became subject to David and brought him tribute. So the Lord made David victorious wherever he went, right? David was cold blooded. That nigga swore couldn't miss. Started with a sling, now we here. Started with a Started with a sling, now we here. The Cash App is up there. It's Miss Harvey 917. Right? 917. 1 Kings 16:26. They got a 26 for Kings, though, right? Shout out to Solomon. Right? He will not miss out. He like, nah, nigga, I need this. Solomon's wealth and splendor. Shout out to Red Pill. Shout out to Red Pill. Right? Shout out to Red Pill. He did an amazing breakdown, and I didn't even get his full breakdown. You know what I'm saying? But he did an amazing breakdown the other day where he's speaking about the demonology of AI, you know, the intricate programming. And we're not here on some scare tactics for doom and gloom just because of Scorpio season. Bro got receipts. And I led him in a direction, and I'll be damned. You know, we do well together, like alley-oop dunk type shit. You know, when we Kobe Shaq, when we working together, we just ain't gotta be dunking together. Pause. It's like throw him an assist, he slams dunk. He comes back, he gives me a down the court pass, and I do a finger roll. It's beautiful when it works. You know what I'm saying? It's beautiful when it works. So salute to that brother, man. I'll be damned. He got some receipts. You can't wiggle out of that shit. And he got a part. Yeah, shout out to Red. He'll explain. Goddamn, he did that. He did that. Solomon's wealth and splendor. And it all goes back to Solomon. That's why I was saying all of that, because this is all dealing with the seals of Solomon. That's why this is named signs, seals, and sigils. It's dealing with the sigils, it's dealing with the signs, and it's dealing with the seals. It's all dealing with Solomon. Year after year, each visitor would bring his tribute, articles of silver and gold, clothing, weapons, spice, horses, and mules. Solomon accumulated 1,400 chariots and 12,000 horses, which he stationed in the chariot cities and also with him in Jerusalem. The king made silver as common in Jerusalem as stones, and cedar as abundance as sycamore in the foothills. So to Solomon's benefit, right, to Solomon's credit, all of the demonology that's associated with Solomon isn't by fault of Solomon. They said that he sent a lot of seals back with Makeda, and Makeda buried them, and someone later on came into possession of them, and they sold them back to the Arabs, right, to the oil magnates. And the oil magnates started utilizing these seals for programming for the computers, because then they sold them upwards, and the people that they sold them upwards, they were Satanists, and they knew exactly what to do with those seals. The Cometians or the Ethiopians, the people of Makeba, the Cushites, the people that their hearts wasn't in the wrong place, they had no use for these seals and these sigils, right? But the people who knew what they were, and that they were seals holding back demonic spirits or Goetia, they knew how to get busy with them. And nigga, they're getting busy with them. And I got proof, and I ain't got I'm not gonna show my hand. Right? I should be at the point on some pre shit where I be like, trust me, nigga, and you should trust me. It don't matter at this point, right? Because what I'm saying, it holds no bearing to it, whether it's true or not, whether you believe it or not. They're working the motherfucking SEALs. There's evidence of it, right? It's insidious what's being done and how it's being done in open and secrecy at the same time. So, to his credit, he attempted to put things under control, and they're out of control, right? The the once you open up, it's like Pandora's box. So these black mirrors, you know what I'm saying? If you don't know how to use a black mirror, if you've never been exposed to a black mirror, if you never worked with a black mirror, nigga, if you have never crossed that line into those other realms, don't get on here and tell me what works and what doesn't. Or don't tell me that I can't see this phone not as a black mirror. This is a black mirror. This is a scrying device. The phone is magic, my nigga. The phone is magic. And our unwillingness to see it as that or utilize it as such is on you. The bending of light is magic, nigga, from the most ancient and archaic versions, even when they were dealing with illusion up until now. If you fail to understand that there's a ghost in the machine, that's on you. Yes, but you will be entertained and enthralled by a Netflix series called Black Mirror. But then I'm explaining to you the physics and the metaphysics of how they're utilizing a motherfucking black mirror to bring in interdimensional entities into this motherfucking dimension through the ethernet, and they're telling me that I have a vainglorious imagination. Maybe you should fund me to write some motherfucking Netflix series then, nigga. We can go half and half, and I could body them. You could be my showrunner if that's the case. If I got such this vivid imagination, why are we wasting it here on YouTube? Trying to tell you without trying to tell you, nigga. Like, I can't expose everything to you in terms of how I know the things that I know, but trust me when I'm telling you, I ain't gonna sit up here and lie to you niggas for nothing. That's never gonna happen. For the sake of what? Looking cool? Sounding deep? That's never gonna happen. Right? I'm gonna teeter on violating the oath as much as I can get away with it. For the sake of you knowing some shit, what you're gonna do with it is all up to you, right? And maybe it's just as maybe just knowing is enough, right? Maybe knowing is half the battle. Maybe being informed, and then you figure it out. Like, damn, what can I do? Right? Oh, not sell my soul to it. Oh, put a limit on it. You know what I'm saying? Even pretend that you have control of it. That might be enough to conjure a buffer. That might be enough for you to be conscientious enough for your spirit to be like, you know what? You appear to be in control. I'm gonna show you some shit. So 2 Kings 10:26. Jehu kills the priest of Baal. Right back to it. Like, this shit comes full circle. That's why I be like, it's worthy of the donation. You watching poetry in motion, my nigga. I don't be planning this. It just comes through like that. Because we talking about Baal, right? This is what they're still tapping into. They're tapping into this Babylonian magic. Because Abram was a Babylonian. He was from Ur of Child. The people who started this shit were Babylonians. They were not Hebrews. Abraham was Abram, and he was a Babylonian. And they incorporated all of these particular Babylonian ceremonies are still intertwined in the religion, such as the golden calf. If you go to Tel Aviv right now, nigga, they have the calves up there. They're still doing that shit. That's still their God. You're just stupid and don't realize it. And I don't mean you. I mean, whoever's in denial of this shit that's right in front of their face, man. Why do we have to go through such a hard time to prove to you it's right there? And I would say in the modern day version of it is the red heifer, right? is them sacrificing the red heifer, is their modern day version of their golden calf. Shit, Trump got a golden calf in Mar-a-Lago. Jehu kills the priest of Baal. When he had finished making the burnt offering, Jehu said to the guards and officers, "Go in and kill them. Do not let anyone out." So the guards and officers put them to the sword, threw the bodies out, and went into the inner room of the temple of Baal. They brought out the sacred pillar of the temple of Baal and burnt it. They also demolished the sacred pillar of Baal. Then they tore down the temple of Baal and made it into a latrine, which it is to this day. They talking tough. They took the pillar out and they kept it for themselves, what they really did. Right? That's what they really did for themselves. Okay, 1 Kings 16:32. First, Ahab set up an altar for Baal in the temple of Baal that he had built in Samaria. Then he set up an Asherah pole. Thus, Ahab did more to provoke the Lord and the God of Israel to anger than all the kings of Israel before him. So I have a video that shows all of this still taking place in Jerusalem today. And again, you might not care and it might not be important to you. You know what I'm saying? But there's nothing like irrefutable proof just to direct the conversation to where it needs to be, that you're not dealing with these people who are antiquated, quote unquote, Hebrews. You're dealing with people who have hijacked this particular demonstration. You're dealing with people who are cosplaying. You're dealing with people who are in direct service, right, to these particular entities and deities that are looked at as, quote unquote, you know, the opposite of the good guys, if you will, if that's such a thing, right? But even then, I mean, who you think Babylonians was? Right? Those was the melanated people. And then that ties into the Sumerians, and it ties into what these people is running around here talking about, the Anunnaki and things of that nature. And I defer to the subject matter experts. I'm not a subject matter expert on that. So I'll just fall back and I'll let them explain the shit, because somebody got some explaining to do. 1 Chronicles 10:8, the Philistines possessed the towns. When all of the Israelites in the valley saw that the army had fled and that Saul and his sons had died, they abandoned their cities and ran away. So the Philistines came and occupied their cities. The next day, when the Philistines came to strip the dead, they found Saul and his sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. They stripped Saul, cut off his head, took his armor, and sent messengers throughout the land of the Philistines to proclaim the news in the temple of their idols and amongst the people. All right. Let's do a cross-reference and then we'll move. 1 Samuel 31:8. The next day, when the Philistines came to strip the dead, they found Saul and his 3 sons fallen on Mount Gilboa. They cut off Saul's head, stripped off his armor, and sent messengers throughout the land of the Philistines to proclaim the news in the temple of their idols and amongst their people. They put his armor in the temple of the Ashtaroths and hung his body on the wall of Beth Shan. They was doing niggas dirty. You feel me? Like, how could you go from thou shalt not kill to that shit? Somebody hijacked somebody's shit, man. We're not on the same timeline. Woo, child. Shit different. Rebellion against Rehoboam. They replied, "If you will be kind to these people and please them by speaking kind words to them, they will be your servants forever." But Rehoboam rejected the advice of the elders. Instead, he consulted the young men who had grown up with him and served him. He asked them, "What message do you advise that we send back to these people who have spoken to me, saying, lighten the yoke of your father, lighten the yoke your father put on us?" right? So he was being asked to lighten the load and not be such an oppressive authoritarian as his father before him, right? Looking for advice for leadership. Why they just ain't sit down and pray? Why they didn't go to the priest? Why they don't be communing directly with God? Why do they ask men? Those guilty of intermarriage. Ezra 10:26. And I said it goes back to Solomon. And we'll walk our way through this. And amongst other Israelites from the descendants of Parash, Ramiah, Izziah, Helkajah, Mijamin, Eleazar, Malkijah, and Benaiah. From the descendants of Elam, Mattaniah, Zechariah, Jehiel, Abdi, Jeremoth, and Elijah. From the descendants of Zatu, Elionaiah, Eliashib, Mattaniah, Jeremoth, Zabab, and Aziza. Shout out to Aziza. I know somebody named Aziza, right? Let's do the cross reference for this, right? And then, like, when you start intermingling and intermarrying, right, then you start taking on these different customs and traditions. Like, where did all of the Barshebas come from, right? It was Camilla, Tradika, Zika, Zarika, right? If y'all live in the South and shit, you know, you might notice that all of the young men's, they got the Arius on them, Vangrarius, um, Barsharius, Deuteronomy Arius, and it should be different. And it's regional. It's regional. It's regional, man. 1 Kings 11:1. King Solomon, however, loved many foreign women, along with the daughter of Pharaoh, women of Moab, Ammon, Edom, and Sidom, as well as Hittite women. So he was into pintos, they saying. These women were from the nations about which the Lord had told the Israelites, you must not intermarry with them, for surely they will turn your hearts after their gods. Yet Solomon clung to these women in love. So I keep telling y'all, Solomon was the Deodora. He was the fork in the road, right? This is where shit went totally left. But a lot of people's religions have to hold on to Solomon for them to verify the veracity of their religions. But so do secret societies, nigga. Have you ever been in one? Solomon is the throughway. Solomon is the reason that their signs, sigils, and seals that are governing this particular computer today that operates as an interface with demons or jinn or ethereal entities, whatever you want to, whatever colorful names that you have for them. This all goes back to Solomon, right? Who's seen the movie Constantine? That's like Solomon. How my nigga had 1 foot in the underworld. That's Solomon. He is the go-between. Okay? He's the go-between. Violated all of the oaths. And according to the metrics of what it takes, according to Jesus, to get into heaven, Solomon will be the last one in. Right? So who's zooming who? And who's from whose bloodline? And he had mad bastard seeds. And he spiked Makiba's drink in order to give her the seed of Menelik. He was the first Diddy in the Bible. Stop me when I'm lying. Yeah, it was Scorpio season. We're just gonna tell the truth. Shame the devil. Sorry. Not sorry. Nehemiah 11:1. Now the leaders of the people settled in Jerusalem, and the rest of the people cast lots to bring one out of 10 to live in the holy city of Jerusalem, while the remaining 9 were to dwell in their own towns. So they did lottery, they cast lots. That's their form of lottery. And the people blessed all of the men who volunteered to live in Jerusalem. Right? Not everybody could live in Jerusalem. Job 10:8. Job's plea to God. Why don't you hang out with me? Though you know that I am not guilty and there is no deliverance from your hand shaped me and altogether formed me. Would you now turn and destroy me? Please remember that you molded me like clay. Would you now return me to dust? So these are the lamentations of Job, speaking to his creator, going directly to him. You know what I'm saying? Job didn't go through no priesthood. Job didn't need the Pope. Job didn't need no intercessor. Job had a bleeding heart. And the more that his heart bled, the stronger his communication was to his creator based on what? Sentience, right? So if you want a direct line to your quote unquote creator, you have to feel those who feel the most. So those who are in the most despair, those who are in the most stress, those who are in the most pain, such as our women, right? They have a direct line, a direct throughway to creator. Hence the fact that they're the ones who pray for us, right? I have not been in too many situations with niggas and they like, yeah, you know, my father was the one that was praying for me. That's why I got the sentence cut in half. That's why I was doing life and shit and I'm home after 13 years. I don't hear a lot of those stories. And I'm not saying that they don't exist. But goddamn if I have not heard them from praying nanas, right? Whose hearts be hurting and hearts be heavy, right? But they're light as well because they're light beings. And the men were made from their light. The men are made from their matter. The men are a consortium of the muscle tissue in their vagina, nigga. You understand? And the same tissue in the vagina is the same tissue in the mouth. That's why they call it giving brains.
Why are you looking at me?
Wait for amen. Can I get amen? Okay. Wow. See, look, Psalms 139. For you formed my inmost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and I know this very well. My frame was not hidden from you when I was made. Right? So they said man comes out of the womb and spends his whole life trying to get back in the womb because it is home for him, the most comfortable places where he was formed and formulated. Oh, I'm getting the big one, Bertha. Psalms 10:8. The perils of the pilgrim. His mouth is full of cursing, deceit and violence. Trouble and malice are under his tongue. He lies in wait near the villages. In ambush he slays the innocent. His eyes watch in stealth for the helpless. He lies in wait like a lion in the thicket. He lurks to seize the oppressed. He catches the lowly in his net. I'll do a cross reference. Proverbs 111. 111. If they say, come along, let us lie in wait for blood. Let us ambush the innocent without cause. Let us swallow them alive like Sheol. And who and whole like those descending into the pit. Into the pit. So Sheol was the Hebraic concept of hell. They don't have a hell in the Bible or in the Old Testament. They have underworld called Sheol, which can be derived if you understand what the underworld in Kemet was like, right? It's not the hell in the Bible of the New Testament. It's different. There's 7 layers to Sheol, of which the thinnest layer is hell on earth. It's called Gehenna, and the color is red, like the cover of Mobb Deep's album with the same name, Hell on Earth. Right? I wonder who the art director was on that project. Proverbs 10:26. Where you going? Solomon's Proverbs, the wise son. When the whirlwind passes, the wicked are no more, but the righteous are secure forever. Like vinegar to the teeth and smoke to the eyes, so is the slacker to those who sent him. The fear of the Lord prolongs life, but the years of the wicked will be cut short. Now, we don't see that. We don't, unfortunately, see that in this existence. That's why we might live in an alternative existence, because the bad guys, they live a long time. The good die young. But the bad guys, the niggas is enduring, right? They live to be in their 90s and they 100s. You feel me? So I don't know. They might have been writing about a different time altogether. Because the bad guys, they be hanging out for a real long time. They be hella endurance. Yeah, and I wasn't spooked by the Bible's version of hell. I was spooked by Islam's version of hell. Nigga, that's a spooky version of hell. Y'all got it. Bursting boils of intestines, rebubbling and rebursting and boiling. Yeah, that's like the Loki loop when he was just going through dying and being reborn, dying and being reborn. Proverbs 6:6. Walk in the manner of the ant, O slacker. Observe his ways and become wise. Without a commander, without an overseer or ruler, it prepares its provisions in summer. It gathers its foods at harvest. Ecclesiastes 10:8. Wisdom and folly. I have seen slaves on horseback while princes go on foot like slaves. I have seen slaves on horseback while princes go on foot like slaves. He who digs a pit may fall into it, and he who breaches a wall may be bitten by a snake, Scorpio. The one who quarries stones may be injured by them, and he who splits logs endangers himself. Cross-reference. Psalm 7:15. He has dug a hole and hollowed it out. He has fallen into a pit of his own making. His trouble recoils on himself, and his violence falls on his own head. Netanyahu. Isaiah 10:26. A remnant of Israel shall return. For in just a little while my fury against you will subside, and my anger will turn to their destruction. And the Lord of hosts will brandish a whip against them, as when he struck Midian at the rock of Oreb. He will raise his staff over the sea, as he did in Kemet. On that day the burden will be lifted from your shoulders, and the yoke from your neck. The yoke will be broken because your neck will be too large. Right? What he doing? Shoulder presses? Upside down push-ups? Or the Mike Tyson joints? Exodus 14:26. Then the Lord said to Moses, stretch out your hand over the sea so that the waters may flow back over the Egyptians and their chariots and horsemen. So Moses stretched out his hand over the sea. And at daybreak, the sea turned to its normal state. As the Egyptians were retreating, the Lord swept them into the sea. The waters flowed back and covered the chariots and horsemen, the entire army of Pharaoh that had chased the Israelites into the sea. Not one of them survived. Not one of them. They got washed. Right? Whole lot of water conversations. Jeremiah 10:25. Jeremiah, correct me, O Lord, but only with justice, not in your anger, or you will bring me to nothing. Pour out your wrath on the nations that do not acknowledge you, and on the families that do not call on your name, for they have devoured Jacob. They have consumed him and finished him off. They have devastated his homeland. Protect the homeland. Ezekiel 10:8, God's glory exits the temple. Then one of the cherubim reached out his hand and took some of the fire that was amongst them, and he put it into the hands of the man clothed in linen, who received it and went out. The cherubim appeared to have the form of human hands under his wings. Then I looked and saw 4 wheels besides the cherubim, 1 wheel besides each cherub, and the wheels gleamed like a beryl stone. So this gleamed like a beryl stone would be like this. Well, I can show you this one, because a beryl is an onyx, right? So did they mean obsidian gleamed like a beryl stone, right? They talking about 3-eye atlas? What are they talking about? The wheels within the wheels. Feel me? What if that thing got 1,000,000 trillion eyes on it? And again, if the chariots were showing up, would they be immediate? Because this shit is moving faster than the speed of light, goddammit. If they be like shit is light years away, how could something come interstellarly? That means that is beyond the solar system. And how is this shit showing up? It just came in July, and it's about to fly by the Earth in December. That shit is moving at a rate that we've never seen, and there's no scripture written for it that explains it, other than what the Hopi prophecies talk about with the blue star Kachina. Who's zooming who? They was waiting on rapture. What is it supposed to look like? Do God come straight through the dome? Is it immediate? How fast is his chariots moving? Because these is moving. That city in the sky is moving real motherfucking fast. And we just lost Michael as the archer. That was D'Angelo. Michael has to precede Christ. What does it look like? What do the legions look like? Are they ships? Are they angels? Are they light forces? Are they beings? Did we ever think this through? Have y'all ever prepared the flock and the progeny to be observers and watchers? Did you ever prompt it out? No one ever gave them a description of what they should be looking for. So now we see something coming and no one knows what they're looking at. Revelations as a cross reference. And before the throne was something like a sea of glass, as clear as crystal. In the center around the throne were 4 living creatures covered with eyes in front and back. The first living creature was like a lion, the second like a calf, the third had a face like a man, and the fourth was like an eagle in flight. So we know that these are the cardinal points that they're speaking about. And each of the 4 living creatures had 6 wings that was covered with eyes all around and within. Right? Day and night, they never stopped saying, holy, holy, holy is the Lord Almighty, who was and is to come. So all of these references about the return of whatever speak about eyes and wheels, right? But y'all waiting on them folks to tell y'all who and what is on the way, and they was just telling you about a rapture. I just don't know. And the Hopi is from Utah, Colorado. There's something called the Four Corners Kingdom. Colorado, Arizona, Utah, and New Mexico. All of the indigenous people in this area have stories about people coming from the sky in craft and wheels. And them stories been around longer than the people who's running around saying those people ain't indigenous to the land. Nigga, where's your stories at? Where's your creation myths? Because they got the shit written in stone and petroglyphs, nigga. So how long was you niggas here, and where's the evidence of it? Because the European could not have destroyed all of your stories and left theirs intact. Come on now. Where you niggas at? Daniel 16:8. Only I, Daniel, saw the vision. The men with me did not see it, but a great terror fell upon them, and they ran and hid themselves. So he was hallucinating alone. He had the shroomy, and no one else did. So I was left alone gazing at this great vision. No strength remained in me. My face grew deathly pale, and I was powerless. I heard the sound of his words, and as I listened, I fell into a deep sleep with my face to the ground. So y'all know how they be on Lexington when they got the doozy in them, right? They got the fetty in them, and them niggas be nodding and shit. They be on the meth, and they face almost hit the floor, then they bounce back. These niggas was high. And he's like, I hit the spliffing 10 and they didn't. And only I can hear the vision, but they couldn't. Woo! Ezekiel 128 cross-reference. The appearance of the brilliant light all around him was like that of a rainbow in a cloud on a rainy day. This was appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell face down and heard a voice speaking. Right? So the Lord showed up as a rainbow in a cloud. Hosea 16:8, retribution after Israel's sin. Samaria will be carried off with her king like a twig on the surface of the water. The high places of Avon will be destroyed. It is the sin of Israel. Thorns and thistles will overcome their altars. Then they will say to the mountains, cover us, into the hills, fall on us. Since the days of Gibeah, you have sinned, O Israel, and there you have remained. Did not the battle in Gibeah overtake the sons of iniquity? They got new ones. They remix it, Revelations 6:16. And they said to the mountains and the rocks, fall on us and hide us from the face of the one seated on the throne and from the wrath of the Lamb. Right? Zechariah 16:8. Judah and Israel will be restored. Ephraim will be like a mighty man, and their hearts will be glad as with wine. Their children will see it and be joyful. Their hearts will rejoice in the Lord. I will whistle for them to gather, for I have redeemed them, and they will be as numerous as they once were. Though I sow them amongst the nations, they will remember me in distant lands. They and their children will live and return. Okay. Isaiah 11:11. 11:11. On that day, the Lord will extend his hand a second time to recover the remnants of his people from Assyria, from Egypt, from Pathros, from Cush, from Elam, from Shinar, from Hamath, and from the islands of the sea. He will raise a banner for the nations and gather the exiles of Israel. He will collect the scattered of Judah from the four corners of the four corners of the earth. Right? Now we're in the New Testament. Fear God alone. This is Matthew 16:26. It is enough for a disciple to be like his teacher and a servant like his master. If the head of the house has been called Beelzebub, how much more the members of his household? Hold on, nigga. Hold on now. So do not be afraid of them, for there is nothing concealed that will not be disclosed, and nothing hidden that will not be made known. What I tell you in the dark, speak in the daylight. What is whispered in your ear, proclaim from the housetops. Right? So If y'all are having dreams, as they said in these days and times that you would be, proclaim them. Do not sit back and be ashamed from them because they're going to say that you're a soothsayer. Scripture said that you will be having visions, that you would be proselytizing and prophesizing, right? What are your dreams? What visions are you having? What messages are coming through? You need to share them. You need to be, I'm not saying zealotry, but the same way that they're being loud with lies, you need to be as well. They should tremble at the sound of your truth, right? If they're so loud with their lies, leave them trembling with truth. They're scared of woke, they're scared of consciousness, they're scared of anything that makes the sense this dismissive of their fucking lies, right? Don't get silent now. Don't get silent now. Tell the truth and shame the devil. All right, they already got a dossier on you, my nigga. Just ain't start today, nigga. The Palantir already got you. Mark 1026. We all going to the same place too, nigga, so don't worry about it. They gonna come and rescue us. V for Vendetta. You see how they played that? They did the election on 11/5 to bring in the V energy. Now here come V. Let's go. Well, we need a watch party to watch V all again. Mark 1026, the rich young man. It is easier for a camel to pass through the eye of a needle than for a rich man to enter the kingdom of God. Right? Sorry, Solomon. They were even more astonished and said to one another, who then can be saved? Jesus looked at them and said, with man, this is impossible, but not with God, for all things are possible with God. So he's like, none of y'all is worthy, right? Nobody can pass through that gate. Let's go to the next one. Luke 10:26, the parable of the Good Samaritan. One day an expert in the law stood up to test him. Teacher, he asked, what must I do to inherit eternal life? What is written in the law? Jesus replied, how do you read it? He answered, love the Lord your God with all of your heart and with all of your soul and with all of your strength and with all of your mind, and love your neighbor as yourself, right? Love your neighbor as yourself. I wanted to put up this article about how many pastors and preachers are involved in these anti-Trump protests, and the liturgy, the clergy, if you will, are responding to the calling of the day of this time, where they're reminding the administration that one of the main tenets of Christianity is to love thy neighbor and to take care of the poor, right? So how can these people package and present themselves as the face of Christianity or the word of Christ if they're doing the complete opposite? You know what I'm saying? So there's so many people that are part of intergenerational and non-denominational religious walks and paths that are locking hand in hand to voice their disgust of what they're seeing take place, with this administration in the name of Christianity. This is not Christian Christ-like behavior. John 10:26, the unbelief of the Jews. I already told you, Jesus replied, but you did not believe. The work I do in my Father's name testify on my behalf. But because you are not my sheep, you refuse to believe. My sheep listen to my voice. I know them and they follow me. Right? Talking that talk, talking outside of his neck. Like, nigga. All right, let's keep it moving. Acts 10:26. Peter visits Cornelius. As Peter was about to enter, Cornelius met him and fell at his feet to worship him. But Peter helped him up. Stand up, he said. I am only a man myself. He's like, cut it out, nigga. As Peter talked with him, he went inside and found many people gathered together. Right? It's like, all right, he had the lecture popping. It's like, nigga, you pack this shit out. You got these people up in here, right? Don't be falling to your feet though, nigga. Just like you, man. You got a spliff? Got some of that loud? Revelations 22:8. And I, John, am the one who heard and saw these things. And when I had heard and seen them, I fell down to worship at the feet of the angel who had shown me these things. But he said to me, do not do that. I am a fellow servant with you and your brothers, the prophets, and with those who keep the words of this book. Worship God. Right? That he was on Baba time. Like, don't be out here bothering me. Get up. We got work to do. Romans 10:8, the word brings salvation. Okay. Who will descend into the abyss? That is to bring Christ up from the dead. What does it say? The word is near you. It is in your mouth and in your heart. That is the word of faith we are proclaiming. That if you confess with your mouth Jesus is Lord and believe in your heart that God has raised him from the dead, you will be saved. So do understand in certain interpretations of the scripture, it says that Jesus is in purgatory until rapture or the redemption, that he also has to be redeemed from the underworld. So the right hand of God, the throne, is vacant until that happens. Jesus is not in heaven, according to certain interpretations of scripture, right? Who has the lion paw grip that can go and raise him from the dead, from the shallow grave, and then he becomes the redeemer of man? This shit, I can run this through AI, they'll kick it back and be like, I need more context. I need more context, right? AI be pushing this back to be like, nah, son, I can't even decipher this. I can't prompt this. You're going to need to give me some more context. You left something out because this shit don't make sense. All to God's glory. 1 Corinthians 10:26. Eat anything sold in the meat market without raising questions of conscience, for the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Oh, wait. If an unbeliever invites you to a meal and you want to go, eat anything set before you without raising questions of conscience. Huh? Come on, son. Come on, son. They didn't know that this shit was about to be hijacked, I guess. How could they not know if God is all knowing? See, this is the shit that gets me kicked out of church. Just asking a simple question like that. It said, eat anything sold in the meat market without raising questions of conscience, for the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. But the people who you say that you want to be in control don't love the earth, right? And they have been creating lab-grown meat and genetically modified this and that, and they pumping poisons in the shit to make it look red when it's gray. No, do not eat everything that comes out the meat market. Paul's apostolic authority, 2 Corinthians 10:8. You are looking at outward appearances. If anyone is confident that he belongs to Christ, he should remind himself that we belong to Christ just as much as he does. For even if I boast somewhat excessively about the authority the Lord gave us for building you up rather than tearing you down, I will not be ashamed. I do not want to seem to be trying to frighten you by my letters. Okay? I don't want to have to frighten you. You should know truth when you hear it. 2 Corinthians 13:10. This is why I write these things while absent, so that when I am present, I will not need to be severe in my use of the authority that the Lord gave me for building you up, not for tearing you down, right? Paul totally commandeered the word of Christ and made it his own. Straight up. Hebrews 10:26, a call to persevere. He don't even mention Jesus throughout. He don't mention Jesus's teachings or none of that stuff. throughout the letters that he writes. He's speaking his shit. He becomes the authority. He has the apostolic authority. He wasn't even the apostle. He's the 13th apostle. He's apostate. A call to persevere. Let us not neglect meeting together as some have made a habit, but let us encourage one another, and all of the more as you see the day approaching. If we deliberately go on sinning after we have received the knowledge of the truth, no further sacrifice for sins remains, but only a fearful expectation of judgment and a raging fire that will consume all adversaries. Okay, cross-reference Numbers 15:30. But the person who sins defiantly, whether a native or foreigner, blasphemes the Lord, that person shall be cut off from amongst his people. He shall certainly be cut off because he has despised the word of the Lord and broken his commandments. His guilt shall remain on him. Revelations 10:8, the angel in the small scroll. But in the days of the voice of the seventh angel, when he is about to sound his trumpet, the mystery of God will be fulfilled, just as he proclaimed to his servants, the prophets. When the voice that I heard from heaven spoke to me again, saying, go, take the small scroll that lies open in the hand of the angel standing on the sea and on the land. And I went to the angel and said, give me the small scroll, take it and eat it. He said, it will make your stomach bitter, but in your mouth, it will be as sweet as honey. Pause. We'll do a cross-reference before we move on. Ezekiel 2:8. And you, son of man, listen to what I tell you. Do not be rebellious like that rebellious house. Open your mouth and eat what I give you. Right? Let's finish off by reading the comparable passage in the Quran. Right? So this will be Surah 10, Ayat 26. Allah Madudi. Hopefully I'm giving some justice to the pronunciation of this. Okay. For those who do good, there is good reward and more besides. Neither gloom nor humiliation shall cover their faces. They are the people of the garden, and in it they shall abide. That is, Allah by his grace will give to those who did good deeds more than their due reward. All right. So that's all I got. You know what I'm saying? That definitely concludes today's presentations. I don't have any apocrypha to go into. I did want to do some more reading of that. I wanted to go into some of those scrolls. You got anything for us? No word that you may have come across that you like. But I think this would be a good one for today. Okay. Yes, it is. It's Miss Harvey 917. That is where we can make our generous donations, show our appreciation. We came in under 2 hours today, but it's just as powerful. I feel very encouraged and delighted about, what we came to do here this evening. This on this day. I want to qualify this though, because I'll be talking a lot about, these craft and everything. And, I know everyone has not had a genuine experience. So I wanted to show y'all with the craft that I be talking about, what it looks like. And I'll give the background to the story. This was in August of...
And last Friday,
August 16th, right? August 13th. And I remember this day. I was with Polite. We had a blog talk show, but he was getting ready for a lecture. And at the time, he was utilizing the facilities that I was at. And he was they was cooking the food in that space, and it also like we had took them to the supermarket. So we was together heading back to do this blog talk show, but he was in the back seat, and I had seen this craft that I had been seeing since June of 2010. And I was like, yo, like, does y'all master teacher speak about this? Like, did he show y'all, did he give y'all any direction on how to identify craft when you see it? Because there goes one right there. And I'm gonna show you how to talk to it. I'll show you how to communicate with it. He was terrified. And this shit really spooked me that I was like, whoa. Because at this time we thought that he was the air phenom. We thought that he was the one. And I'm like, damn, these people are really, they're not ready for the information. They just study the shit, but they're not ready to interact with it. Just like only on paper, like not in real life. And that fucked me up. It really demoralized me. But ironically enough, somebody from the NOI, ironically enough, caught that image that the same day, and he filmed it. He caught it on film. So I'll share with you exactly what the craft looks like. You know what I mean? And hopefully there's other people out there who have had this comparative situation.
And on August 13th, during my most recent interview with Brooklyn's first female boxer from Canarsie, Melissa X, formerly known as Melissa St. Ville, a very interesting thing happened. We started filming intro scene for her with the moon in the background. It was really nice, a great shot. And after the take was over, I noticed, after I turned the camera off, that an object which I was very familiar with appeared, and I started filming again. It was a shot that I had been praying for, for real.
Mm-hmm.
This object had been disputed by enthusiasts who believed that it was the planet Venus or a star, and others like myself who believe that it's not, a star. Melissa and I checked the skies. She was like, "Wow, what's that?" And I said, "Well, it's not a star because there's no other stars that you could see out there. It's by itself. We're not at the part of the night where you can see all the stars yet." Anyway, there was no other stars out there. And then this object just appeared instantly after I put the camera down. It wasn't there when we were filming the scene. It was sometime between 6 and 7, by the way. Furthermore, the object was moving about on its own and not on its axis, as would any planet.
That part. That was around the same time we was leaving the supermarket on Atlantic Avenue, right? It's a macabre, it's a mothership. And diamond is luminous, and I used to communicate with it through telepathy and show other people how to do it. I'll tell it to disappear, would get big, get small, go left, go right. And if the government is in our head to that level, then we've lost. We've been lost. And they're wasting their time because they could have been got busy if they got technology that does that and communicates with us telepathically back in 2010. Bioluminescence, not the metallic shit they keep showing you. That's the shit that they created. Your ancestors have to be light vehicles, like Merkaba, looking like this. If it don't show like this, nigga, that's not your people. Or at least that's not my people. I can only speak for myself. Right? Luminescence. And this ain't even the mothership that I be talking about that I've seen in Shasta. This is just the wheel that the orbs come out of this. Right? This is like the Merkaba. This is you from the future type shit. This is not even the big one. This is just the regular shit. that we be seeing.
And when I zoomed in on the object, it was it was in the shape of pyramids as a diamond, but seconds later it changed through its use of a lighting system into an oval and circular shape.
Yes. And it shifts, shape shifts. Right. Canarsie, Brooklyn, August 13th, 2010. Same day. So I don't, I don't want to hear what nobody got to talk to me about if they have not had experiences. If you can't call this into our reality with the fucking snap of a finger, you not one of them, nigga. You need to sit down and keep talking that Anunnaki shit. And I'm not making no direct commentary about any person in particular. The whole Anunnaki hijacking conversation starts after this. And it's like, cool, just get outside and do it. Call them, nigga. They're right there. They're always around. Why are they not responding and showing up? If that's who you say you from, and that's who you are, then holla at them niggas. Like, make them pop out and show me some other shit. Because there's a bunch of other things going on in the sky. And who are you in relations to them is all I need to know. And you got to show me better than telling me. Because this is in 2010, nigga. We're in 2025. That's 15 years ago. And there's been so much more that's happened since then.
This I was very thankful for, to be at the right place at the right time, as the telephone wires helped to serve as the best reference point one could hope for. The object, which was once thought to be Venus, moved from one wire to the next.
That's right.
Look.
We use the sky as your measuring.
Moving past the wire.
Yep.
Same I told you what, I locked my eyes in when I first seen it. I had two buildings that the craft showed up in between, and I used the buildings as measuring sticks to say, if this light crosses this pole, nigga, then it's not a star because it's moving. And that's the shit will show you on multiple variances and ways that it's a moving object, a bioluminescent moving object that operates.
That's on a tripod.
In accordance with your commands, if you lock
See
it.
how far it went from there?
Yeah.
Because what you're looking for wants to be found and is looking for you. How about that? You just can't be scary. So yeah, y'all can go to YouTube and see it yourself, share it with your family, get them ready. You know what I'm saying? We got a few days left for all shit hits the fan, and you got to rewrite your whole narrative and script, and people are going to be scrambling, right? People are going to be scrambling to be like, yo, how do I get in on the conversation? Peace. Yes. Live a little, laugh a lot. You know what I mean? In Shasta, on our last retreat, when we had one of the most unprecedented visitings from these ships, we had a ceremony right before it where the emphasis was on laughing and farting. I'm sorry, but those two things that are the most freeing things that we attempt to hold back, that we don't have control over, that's where God exists, believe it or not, in the gases, in your most gaseous states, in the state of laughter where you're the most freest. You know what I mean? Where you're almost like onto a child. You're freeing yourself up. You're not being stiff. You're not being so controlling. You're free. You know, so serious. There's nothing more natural than you laughing and passing gas. As crazy as it may sound, right? Don't be a tightwad. So with that being said, family, again, I want to say thank you. Shout out to my brother, King Simon. He's in the building. I will be in Brooklyn on November 15th and 16th for the 30th anniversary of King Simon production. And yeah, hopefully I'm bringing craft with me and all of that. And hopefully we can go outside and just do a demonstration. in real time. And at the end of it, we can do a laughing gas demo just to show, like, the more laughter and the more gas that you're able to create, they coming out, nigga. They coming out deep. You fought rainbows, look, legend, right? So they said they fought. So they fought. They said they fought rainbows. Yeah, it's not just about rolling the gas up. It's about being gaseous as well. On some nutty professor shit, like, yeah, laughing gas. You would not believe, like, the entities don't want to be around tightwads. You gotta have, because the orbs are playful. They move like children. If anybody has witnessed and seen orbs, you can tell they're very joyful. They're very playful. Baby shams, light shams, orbs. They got different names for them, but they're super playful. They're super, and it's coming during Christmas, so it's almost moving like the elves, the Moorish elves. Swarth Pedes is what they call them. Those are the elves that came with all of the candy and the gifts for the children. They were very playful, super playful, right? I feel that this craft, which is made out of nickel, the etymology of nickel is old Nick, right? And old Nick is Satan or Shaitan for them. But for us, it's Moors, it's Saint Maurice the Moor, Saint Nicholas is a Moorish saint, and it comes, the old Nick comes with the Twa people who were called Sword Peeps, and they are playful. They come with gifts and they play with the children. You have to go back into the state where we are playful again. This is how we're going to receive the information. This is how we're going to receive the downloads. This is how we're going to receive the messages. You know what I'm saying? It's your imagination that you have to trust and activate again. You have to redeem and also forgive yourself for, because we be heavy-handed on ourselves for being children. No, you had an imagination for a reason. Don't hold yourself at fault because you had these magnanimous ideas and your life was too serious at the time, so your parents told you to get over it because they got to put food on the table, nigga. You got to go hustle because you ate. Redeem your imagination. Get back into your third eye atlas. Feel me? Get back into your third eye atlas so you can get back to the top of that Mount Olympus. In Atlanta is Atlantis, my nigga. The water's coming. Build an ark. Peace. Oh, please donate.
Hey, yo, we got it going on. I'm hit up right on my wrong. Yo, we got it going on. It's for the culture. Yeah. Hey, yo, we got it going on. I bring my niggas together, we transform and become the Voltron. Yeah. We hit it right all our wrong. Hey, yo, we got it going on. Yeah. Went through the fire, but it lit up my fuse. I'm blowing up like a bomb. Introduce you to God. I'm teaching essentials, I'm operating at my peakest potential. Elijah, he told me to keep it on simple. Through these instrumentals, I speak to your mental. Red. Back in the booth, rap to the youth, they was lacking the truth. Rap to the seas, they was lacking the roots. Smoked all the trees and they snacking on fruits. Bed, attached to my roof, detached to the roof on the back of the coupe. Back from the future, I'm back in the red and the blue, yeah, I'm back on my snoot. Niggas be biting, they cracking, they tracking, niggas be capping, they lacking the truth. Put a toe tag on the back of they boot. Battle with nukes, I'm attacking they truth. I wrote these bars in Sumerian text. The legends of Mu, I'm the Marian sets. It was written in Targaryen text. Came to conquer all my variants. Yeah, we got it going on. I bring my niggas together, we transform and become the Voltron. Yeah. We hit it right all our wrong. Hey, yo, we got it going on. Yeah. Went through the fire, but it lit up my fuse. I'm blowing up like a bomb. Introduce
introduce you to God. Back on the mic, was dead on my back, now I'm back on my life. Came back from the future, went back to it twice. When I rose out the grave, they say that dude is Christ. I'ma shine like a star, I'ma twinkle, twinkle as I light up the sky. The whole world was watching on the night I arrived. The Messiah's here, I guess it's finally time. Swear that I hear every prayer that you say. I was there every day, I was still everything.
Chat, what the hell? They got a pillar at the Vatican. Pope Pablo, where you at?
You either fight or run. Life a game, I feel like I won. Yo, we got it going on. I bring my niggas together, we transform and become the Voltron. We hit a right all our wrong. Hey yo, we got it going on. Yeah. Went through the fire, but it lit up my fuse. I'm blowing up like a bomb. Introduce you to God.
From the quantum shadows, a traveler emerges. Fly Sinet, the multi-dimensional hacker, living his hero's journey. He joins the Pantheon at AI Masters Workshop, November 1st and 2nd, hosted by 363 Empire with Red Pillar and Seven Bomar. Tickets, lock yours in now.
This is the law of mental command. It is the understanding that you are not a victim of your thoughts, but a commander of them.